All right. Hello and welcome to this live content workshop for how to create LinkedIn content. I am going to share my screen and we are going to kick off with a bit of a whiteboard sessions. So how do you create LinkedIn content? A lot of people are very reluctant to post, or they post and feel like they basically are posting into the void, don't know what they should be posting, don't feel like anything that they create is good. So how and why should you be posting LinkedIn content? The answer is absolutely yes. You should and really must post, especially if you've got content, connection creating campaigns going like what we run. You should and must be posting LinkedIn content. And here's why. The people who you are connecting with, your new connections, will be shown in their newsfeed whenever they log into LinkedIn, your content as a priority by the LinkedIn algorithm. It will prioritize showing new content to new connections your content and vice versa. So it's literally free advertising, and it also helps starts actually some brand exposure. So someone is seeing your face over and over and over again in their newsfeed, especially if you're posting content that they enjoy. What gets in the way then of people posting LinkedIn content? Well, I think one of the main reasons is that it's the fear of failure. It's the fear of posting stuff and getting ignored, of no one liking it, engaging with it, and feeling like it's a pointless activity. The thing is, though, you want to ignore that completely, because LinkedIn is a B2B platform, which means it's not the same as, on Instagram, where people just double tap the whatever video that's entertaining them at that moment in time to give it a like. It's not like that. You can get really invaluable engagement off LinkedIn from people who are lurkers, people who don't click the like button, who don't share, who don't comment. You'd never know they'd seen it. And day after day, invisibly, as they consume your content, they are growing in trust, in understanding. They're getting educated on what you do, and also who you are, what you're like, because the personal part of this is absolutely essential, especially on LinkedIn. One of the mistakes that we're going to look at how to negate is that people, because it's a B2B platform, just post about very corporate official stuff. And I'm not saying that you need to post, you shouldn't be posting about what you had for dinner, but you want to have an element of you in there. That's very important. It doesn't matter if it's a B2B platform and it's for business content. People are attracted to stories, to content that's about other people. So we're going to figure out how to do both, how to wrap in the professional content with the personal in a way that's entirely appropriate. And what's the point in doing LinkedIn content? Because, like I say, it reinforces your brand, establishes credibility. It also can help it decrease churn with your current clients, because it reinforces to them that you're an expert and you know what you're doing, and this is what they're getting. So anyway, let's dive into how you actually create LinkedIn content. So we're going to create some buckets here, and these are going to be ideas. We need to figure out how on earth that we're going to come up with enough ideas. I don't like the shape of these. And we're also going to change the color because this is a different section. Let's have green. And then let's duplicate this. And we're going to have stories. Then let's duplicate again. And we're going to have value. And then let's duplicate it again. And we're going to have the hook. So these are the things that we need in order to have. These are the basic ingredients that go into creating good LinkedIn content. And you will get to do this very, very quickly. But to start off with, you need to do it all very deliberately. And this makes the chances of having whatever you create be that much more kind of likely to be consumed to make an impact on people. So let's start off with this question. How do you get ideas? Well, let's go for something a bit more interesting. Let's go for yellow. So ideas. So how do you come up with ideas? What do you post about? Well, what I like to do is create a Google Sheet with about 10 categories. About 10 categories. What are these categories? So whatever you do as a business is going to have different elements to it. Let's take an example. So I'm a marketer. So let's say B2B marketing is my my business and what I'm going to be posting on LinkedIn about. Well, what are some categories inside that? Well, I mean, this is exactly what we're talking about here. What platforms to market on? That's one category. Another category is paid ads. Another category is overall strategy. Another category is influencer marketing. Another category is say SEO. So not sure why that runs like that. This is an example of coming up with 10 categories like this for what you do to be able to create buckets, idea buckets, which you can then populate with content and with ideas. So let's have a look at how you might actually come up with these categories. Let's look at a shortcut. So I'm going to go over to Amazon and I'm going to say Dummies Guide to Marketing for Dummies. Here we go. This is what I suggest you do. You type in Dummies Guide to what your business is, and then come to the reader sample bit and then scroll down to contents. So you can take whatever from here you think, yeah, that's a great category. So okay, so let's have a look here. So marketing in a thriving consumer culture, and that doesn't do anything for me. Consumer values and mindsets, maybe, but not a specific category that I want to write in. Strategy for lifetime value and ROI. Sure. ROI. Boom. Another category. Brilliant. Then executing across channels. Yeah, I could write about that, but I don't want to do that. So email, websites, SEO. Okay, so email marketing. So you see, very quickly, we're going to come up with 10 categories. And this has been basically done for you if you find a good dummies guide. Of course, you can find other things, other channels. You can use competitors. Oh, I didn't show you the Figma tab. Let me just share this tab instead. So yeah, you can see here. So we've got email marketing, ROI, which platforms. So that's kind of channels to mark on, paid ads, overall strategy, influencer, SEO. Okay, so you can see. Okay, it's got much more. That was barely any of the content. So you can see the reason that I suggest these dummies guide is that you could get an extraordinary number of things to post about, and all of these are great. So you can create a category of public events for branding, for B2B branding, and that would be a great category here. Public events for B2B brands, brand building. Great. And then what I would then do is populate, once you've got your categories, and delete any that you don't need to be precious. There's I didn't show you this, forgot to switch tabs back, but you can see here, this is the dummies guide. This is the full table of contents. We've got so much here. Foundation for growth, and within that we've got these growth rate of your market. If you wanted to write about this, if this stuff is relevant, and you just take it and have it as a category. Marketing plans, it goes on and on and on. So that's a great resource that I would strongly encourage you to explore. And then let's go back to this tab. So then for each of these, you can have subcategories. Now, this can be anything to do with that: questions, problems, mindset, limiting beliefs. So what people would struggle with this. So where to have public events for branding, for example. That's not a particularly good question, but so let's improve that. Where to host public events for branding. So you could talk about online, offline, PC. And then, do I need to be the host, or can I use other people's events? So you can come up with anything you might think of, brainstorm, fill that up, fill all of these up, and you have literally got infinite content ideas that you can post on that are all going to be relevant. So let's move that to one side. So as you do that, you're going to get insights, feedback from the market about, maybe whenever I post about paid ads on LinkedIn, that goes viral, but no one really cares about influencer marketing. So you end up learning what people's attention is drawn to out of all of these categories. So that's how to get infinite ideas. That's one way of getting all the categories that you need. But let's look at another way. So now let's go over to YouTube, and then let's type in the keyword B2B marketing. Fine. So here's what we then might do. We'd look for some channels, not necessarily the specific videos, but the channels. And then we'd open them in a new tab. So this is what I'd do. I'd open them in new tabs, but I'm just sharing one tab at a time.
Like Voldemort.
So
direct mail is back.
Just go into this one to see what we'd do to use this. So once you're into a channel, you click on the videos, and then you click popular. This is going to just show you what the citizens of YouTube have voted with their attention as to be the most in-demand content on this channel. And if you do this across the biggest channels in your space, you're going to come up with everything you need to make stuff that's pretty likely to be stuff that people are looking for. A bunch of this is HubSpot specific, but artificial intelligence and machine learning in a B2B marketing channel is a big topic. Bitcoin, I mean, a lot of this is quite old, which is interesting. So Facebook business page, the ultimate tutorial, that's quite interesting. That might give me an idea of, you know, ultimate tutorials for things like that. So I don't think too much of HubSpot's channel. B2B 2K views. Okay, let's see. Exposure Ninja. Okay, so Exposure Ninja, he gets a lot of views. He's clearly focused on the topic that we look for. So let's look in videos. Let's go to popular. Perfect page titles and meta descriptions for SEO. That would be a category that I would copy and paste into my spreadsheet. How to find your target audience in 6 questions. Great. How to find your target audience. Great for B2B marketing. And I say how to, but it doesn't have to be how to. There's different types. That's actionable. But it can also be why you need to find your target audience, and then brackets, and how to do it in 6 questions. How to create landing pages, B2B marketing strategies. So I would basically ignore some of the dressing up, the how-tos, the 7 essentials, how to, and I would just take the meat of the keywords. So B2B marketing strategies, how to rank on Google, or ranking on Google, keywords for SEO, Shopify. I mean, so I focus on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn SEO optimization, a beginner's guide, could be a great one. So you get the point. You if you set a timer for 20 minutes and go through YouTube channels like that, then you would get more ideas than you could ever make content for. So we've also got YouTube. Go search for your keywords on channels with high views and relevance. Go to videos, sort by popular. Okay, so we've got all the ideas between these 2 strategies that you could ever need, and you've got as well as that, the fact that they're pre-made to be viral already. So now we're going to look at the story element. So ideas obviously need to come first, but then with all of these, you're going to see that it's a bit chicken and egg, because with stories, perhaps you have a story first, and then that gives birth to an idea, and then you make it valuable, and then you might finish up with a hook. Other times you might come up with a great hook, and so on. So stories. It's absolutely essential to include storytelling in your marketing, and the reasons why are incredibly well documented, and might I say even cliche. I hate hearing the phrase, our brains are wired for story. It's true, but it's a cliche. And as an ex-actor of 14 years who went around the world teaching story to everyone from Oxford University doctors, students, to Ivy League colleges in America and military schools, international military schools, and taught on at the best drama schools and acting schools in the world, it just doesn't come close to cutting it for me, saying that our brains are wired for stories. We experience everything that we experience is fundamentally framed in a story. Someone with an objective, a desire, who has to overcome obstacles and is faced with the unexpected nature of reality, where you can't predict or control the outcomes of your actions. I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, but suffice it to say, stories are absolutely the best thing that you need to get a handle on if you want to differentiate your LinkedIn content as quickly as possible. Nothing else comes close. If you were to just create really good value content, it would still blend in infinitely more than if you framed it within great stories. So before I get carried away, what is the simplest, what's the 80-20? If you're like, okay, I get it, I got to use stories, but what do you mean? Are black sheep? So many people I talk to have consumed stuff about how important storytelling is, and they get it. Some people have even bought courses, but when they actually come down to using it, they're like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? So here's a really practical way of just getting stories, weaving in stories into what you do. Show your work, client stories. So these can be anonymous. You don't need to publish a formal official case study on and reveal client details. Not at all. For example, I was creating some marketing for a client who had a completely anonymous case study. So someone who they needed to keep anonymous, but they got an amazing result for them. And what they were like, yeah, we can't talk about these clients. And I was like, okay, so how about this? And I showed them the 1 sentence case study, which went, we helped one client to outcome, and I said the specific outcome. This was great because they had a specific number, an impressive specific number associated with the outcome. So, for example, we helped one client to, and this is true, I once helped a client to land a £950,000 proof of concept opportunity with an absolute dream client using a 1 sentence case study. That's how powerful these are. So we helped one client to get this outcome, and then extra details. And the reason I say extra details is because that could mean you could add, depending on the story, without having to do something that no one wants, or while at the same time getting some extra benefit, or if the time frame was impressive, then in this time frame. We've got one client who only charges on results, and they do this in a very, it's nothing to do with marketing. It's not one of these agencies who are saying, we'll double your clients or you don't pay. They get a very concrete, measurable, tangible result in a very serious B2B field, and they've got a business model that means that it's literally they get paid on results for what they deliver. So they could say, we helped one client to get this big outcome without having to pay it up front. So whatever the most interesting extra detail of the story is, you put it in there. So that's the easiest 80-20 of stories. And if you think you don't have any, I guarantee it's because you're not thinking, you're thinking too restrictively about what you're allowed to bring up. So what about value? So this is how we need to frame the post. in our minds. We need to have a section of who's this for, and so they can do what. So who for, and so they can do what. So this content that I'm creating here, LinkedIn content workshop, who's it for? It's for people who know that creating LinkedIn content is important, but haven't yet got the habits, the motivation, the clarity of step by step what it actually involves to get this into being a habit that they turn up and do, so that they can what? So that they can create their first, they can feel very confident about creating their first draft LinkedIn post. That is how I'd frame this. So that's what I mean by value. You want it to be for a specific person, and you want it to be so that they can actually experience a positive and desirable outcome for each piece of content. And a good way to frame this that I like to do is, would you pay a $5 for this content? Is it actionable? This can be as simple as you can fit this into 280 character tweets. So it doesn't need to be the whole dummies guide, the step-by-step micro how-to. First click here, then click here. First you need a keyboard, then you need to open a Google Docs or Microsoft Word document. It can be the overview. It can be a good something that I'd pay a $5 for is I could put a 280 character tweet that just goes through stories and uses basically these points and includes this template. I mean, that's worth a lot more than a $5 if someone understands that this is valuable and then has a sentence that they can think in their head, oh yeah, well, I guess we helped one client to do blah, 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 and they didn't have to such and such. Okay, so if I just write that down and use it, that's a great thing for my LinkedIn content. Brilliant. That could be a game changer for someone who just sees that piece of content. So now we're on to the final category, hooks. Now, if your LinkedIn newsfeed is anything like mine, which it may well not be because I am a marketer and content creator, then the overwhelm of people trying to get you to sign up to their email list in exchange for a free hook is really something. So you should have no shortage of this. And if you Google good hooks for LinkedIn, for example, then you'll come across an unbelievable amount of free content. So let's just break down some ingredients of a good hook, and these don't have to be in everything, but this can be helpful to get the juices flowing. And if I was you, I'd start off by just using templates. So some examples is including a specific number, so X ways, and then your specific target audience can outcome. That's an easy hook that works 9 out of 10 times. One hook LinkedIn content creators can use to grab attention. That's me using that template for how I could frame this hook. So the point is, use a specific number. People love lists. It helps us to very quickly understand the structure that we're in when we start consuming a piece of content. It's a list. Okay, great. I can read a list. That's very simple, very, very low cost cognitively to do that. And it's usually very beneficial. The target audience lets them know, oh, for me, oh, specifically for me. Okay, fine, okay. that's much more likely to hook their attention because it feels like it's relevant for them. And then the outcome is very important because it's what's in it for them. And as you must know about any kind of marketing content creation, people are interested primarily in the if I spend my attentional bandwidth on this, what will I get in return? And so you need to always have this outcome. The outcome can be so in the hook at the very least, I would suggest outcome, pain, problem. So it needs to revolve around one of these in the hook. That's how you can get people's initial attention. And then contrast. So you can use the power of contrast, and this can easily get clickbaity, but if you follow it up and you haven't exaggerated or manipulated people, if you can play off the contrast, then that's going to do very well, because people's our attention is drawn to ideas that jar, that don't make sense. So the most ridiculous examples of this are often found in clickbait. So the one weird ice cube trick to melt belly fat. You know, it's absurd, but it's a hook headline for weight loss clickbait stuff that's been around for literally a decade, because it will never stop working, because the contrast is a pattern interrupt. It shocks people out and goes, what? Ice cube to melt belly fat and melt? Heat, cold? What's going on? My brain is trying to figure out something it doesn't understand. So that's one way to look at contrast, or how having no budget can get you a much greater reach with your marketing, for example. You know, contrasting ideas. This works really well for if what you do has got counterintuitive elements. If you're disruptive in your niche, so say Monzo, the British bank, I think it's global, but anyway, they're a bank that don't have any branches, and so there's contrast built into their disruptive idea. The best customer service, the bank with best customer service with 0 branches is a contrasting idea. So you can find very concrete elements of this within, and these are the best ones that are very concretely within your offering. So put these all together and you will have all the ingredients to make as much absolutely fascinating and valuable and exciting LinkedIn content as you can, that's got the human element because it's got stories, that is gonna get people to look out for your next post and then start saving it, reposting, commenting. You can build a lot of authority, because if you use all of these elements, the hook is what gets their attention, that gets them to read that first line and want to know more, enough to then read the second line and the third line and so on. The idea is what's going to let you get off the blank page and let you actually start making stuff that's relevant to your audience, that ties back to your offerings. The story is going to help people actually experience the tangible elements of transformation that you offer to your clients for themselves. That's what a story does. It puts people into the experiential mode rather than just an academic dry understanding. And as I say, the value is what's going to get them excited and make them feel optimistic that they can also get that outcome. Put them all together and you've got something absolutely deadly, especially if you do this every day or multiple times a day. Thank you very much for attending, and I will speak to you soon.